had this spirit of power. What has God not given us? A spirit of fear, but He has given us a spirit of power and of love. This is active goodwill. This is not just merely a feeling. It's not merely an action. You know, people can have good feelings and good intentions and do nothing. What good is it? And on the other hand, people can have a lot of action and have no love involved, and that can be a dangerous thing. Think about the parent who has no love for the child. When it comes time to control the child, they can be quite harsh, even cruel. So love is active goodwill, and that's what we want with parents toward children, and that's what we should have for our neighbor, agape. That's the Greek word, and that's the kind of love that God has for us. We love God because He first loved us, and we have the spirit of love. That is, love that will seek out the best in every situation, seek out to do the best. Love will be a verb. It will do something on behalf of the one who needs the service. It puts on clothes of the servant. Jesus took a towel and washed the disciples' feet because He had the spirit of love. But I want to get to this last one because this is really potent. It's really powerful at this time. God's not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Now here again, it's the only time this word is used. It's translated in the King James Version and New King James Version as sound mind. And when something is sound, it's healthy. We are to teach according to sound doctrine. That's healthy teaching. And we get that out of the Scriptures. We're not to teach a false doctrine. That's not healthy. It's not sound. When a sound mind is evident, that means it's healthy. But this can also be translated self-control or self-discipline or prudence. And it's interesting to see how it's translated in various translations, but they actually all meld together because the original term encompasses both ideas because one leads to the other. A sound mind leads to self-control. And if a person doesn't have a healthy mind, they'll get out of control in a hurry. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23 verse 7. Proverbs 4:23, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of the heart flow the issues of life. And so we have to have a sound mind in order to have self-control or prudence, self-discretion, self-control. These things go together. This word is, a piece of this word in the word family is used in 1 Timothy 3 verse 2 in describing an elder of the church who is to be a man of self-control. And he is to have a sound mind. Now, we live in times where people are mixed up in their thinking, having mental illness as a result of improper thoughts, and they get into all kinds of unhealthy teachings, and it affects their thinking, and that affects their actions, and before you know it, they're not healthy mentally. Now, I want to set aside something before I go into this, and we don't have much time left, I recognize that, but hear this. There are those who are having problems in their thinking because their mind is not well and it's physically, organically based. There are chemical imbalances related to the brain that can be a result of medication imbalance, can be a result of organic imbalances in the brain of serotonin, norepinephrine, or dopamine, and all these things I don't really understand much about, but when these things are out of balance, these neurotransmitters, it causes people's thinking not to be what it needs to be, and there are medications that can help balance these things. And then there's talk therapy, and many psychologists and psychiatrists use talk therapy to help people, and there are Christian counselors that help people this way. There are words that can really encourage and help people. And that can help with our thinking. But I want to set aside that, because that's not what I'm talking about. If a person is having problem with their biology and their chemistry, they need to go to the appropriate sources for that, and a medical doctor can treat that sort of thing. That's a good place to begin with that. But we're talking about someone, and most of us fall into this category on a daily basis. That is, we have a choice before us. We can be of an unhealthy mind, or we can have a sound mind. A sound mind, a healthy mind, is a result of self-discipline, and they go together, because self-discipline comes about as a result of a sound mind. We're not talking about the brain here. The mind is different from the brain. Now, they may be interlocked together because of the neurons and everything, but what I'm talking about is the mind can actually think about the brain and examine the brain. Dogs have brains, but they don't think about their brain. And insects have a brain, but they don't think about it. We have mind. God has given us a mind. And in this mind, we have the part of man that's called the inward man. It's our spirit. It's who we really are. And in this mind, we can either be healthy or unhealthy. There is an acronym that they use in computer classes called GIGO, G-I-G-O, garbage in, garbage out. Same way with the mind. If we put garbage into our mind, we're going to get a garbage result in our life. And we don't need to be putting impure things at the sources of our thinking, because downstream it can become very polluted. I have understood from what I have read here recently in the news that gun sales are at an all-time high. Maybe people are full of anxiety and fear, or perhaps they're thinking forward to maybe in terms of protection of their family. But there's some good news in that Bibles right now are at record sales at an all-time high. But I also saw this, that drug use is on the increase, illegal drugs, alcohol sales are on the increase, and pornography use is at an all-time high on the internet, because those peddlers of smut are putting it out free on the internet during time of quarantine, hoping to hook more people into this sort of filth. These things ought to be disturbing to us, in that people are putting into their mind things that are going to produce a bad result downrange. Well, we have a choice in this. We can either fill our mind with the world and become worldly, or we can fill our mind with the things of God and become godly. And that's what he's saying here. God did not give us an unhealthy mind, but he's given us a spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind, a healthy mind. It's our choice, and it's not difficult to have, but we do need to have it. And we need to accept the gift that God is giving us. We need to read his word and drink purely, or drink deeply at the pure source. Read the Bible for yourself. Don't let a preacher read all the Bible to you and that be all the Bible reading you get. Read it for yourself, so that when you hear a preacher, you can know if he's preaching the Bible or not. The best way to detect a counterfeit bill is to know what a true bill looks like. And so the best way to detect a false doctrine is to know what the true doctrine looks like. This can be done. My great-grandmother didn't have much education, but she read her Bible. And when she heard preachers, she could tell when they were getting off the page of Scripture and going to their own opinions or their own ideas. And if she could do that with little education, what about us in these modern times where we have education? Let's stir up the spirit that we have, that God's given us, a disposition that's not of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. These are healthy things to consider in times when people are having a spirit of fear, and they feel powerless, and they feel selfish instead of loving, and they don't feel very secure in their minds. There are people that will take off their mask and throw them down in the parking lot with gloves for someone else to pick up. And it's just this me first attitude, me only attitude. But we should be thinking about the store manager or someone who has to come out in the parking lot and pick up that debris that's left behind. We need to have what is given to Christians here. I hope this encourages you. That's been my desire, to encourage you in your Christian faith. These are times for us to draw closer to God, and as we do, we'll draw closer to one another. We'll meet at the top, and that's where God is. We hope you've been encouraged, and we want to invite you to come and be with us on Sunday morning at the cell phone, at Facebook, or on your computer. We'll meet at 9 a.m. for a Bible study and at 10 a.m. for worship, and again online at 5 p.m. We look forward to seeing you.